Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Drop Goal Podcast. On today's episode, we are joined by former Hull Kingston player, as well as playing for the Newcastle Thunder and Leigh Centurions. He's known as one of the best young talents in rugby league. It's Hull FC's man himself, Joe Cator. Welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. How are you?
Not too bad myself. Glad to hear you here. Glad to hear you well, sorry. And I'm pleased we could get you on the show. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the questions. So first off, how would you rate this year with Hull FC?
Tough one straight off the bat. I think it's. I think starting on at the start of the season, we maybe didn't perform how we wanted to or how we was expected to. I think we went into this season fully expecting to be at the top. And our ambitions was to get a trophy. We wanted to be sailing high at the top and at least be in the top four come halfway through season. But we didn't start off too well, and I think it took a while for the squad to mould together. You know, we had a lot of players come in, so for us to mould together in a quick space of time, I think it just didn't happen. I think towards the back end it did happen. Maybe took a bit too much time. We didn't want it really to. Didn't think it'd take that much time for us to mould together, but we've got there in the end, and I think we finished off really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. And would you say that the coronavirus break gave Hull an advantage or a disadvantage this year?
I don't really think it made a difference to us. Personally, it gave me an advantage, but squad-wise, maybe it did. Maybe it gave us a bit of time to refresh and reflect on where was going wrong. But whilst you're in the middle of the season, you kind of don't want to have the stop-start, do you? But I think, you could say that, to be honest. I think we needed that time to reflect and really work on where we was going wrong.
Yeah, so obviously Hull's season is now officially over after getting knocked out in the semis. Although they played brilliant against Warrington the match before, is there anything that Hull could have done to beat the Warriors, or were Wigan simply the better team on the night?
You've got to give credit to where credit's due. Wigan was good. I did watch the game back. I've actually just watched it back today. I think for the good part of the first 30 minutes, I think we was on top.
Yeah.
I just think when we was on top, we needed to take our chances. Maybe did some silly errors and silly penalties that just put us under the pump. Went in at half time, 12-2. I think we could have got a few tries here and there. We had our chances and we was on top. Mm-hmm. But the second half just it fell into their hands really, and we didn't really like scoring in that second half. Maybe it took too much energy out of us and the first half. And obviously that they had a week off and that really makes a difference. Whereas we played Warrington, and I think it took a lot on us to get over the line against Warrington. So to be able to back it up like we did, I think we did in that first half, but maybe when it got to that second half, we maybe just fell short.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask you the same question as I ask most at the start of each episode. Growing up as a young lad, what age did rugby league come into your life?
Ever since I've known, really. My dad was a rugby player. He played for Hull Kingston. Yeah. I think he only made the one first team appearance. He was more around the A team. And he played amateur. So that was where it all started. And my family's just been all rugby as well. In Hull, I think you can say it's either a football or rugby town. But we're having the two rugby, Hull Kingston and Hull FC rugby teams in that town. I think it's a big more of a rugby town than it is a football town. Yeah. So I think you grow up wanting to be a rugby player, basically.
Yeah, 100%. And growing up as a young lad, were you interested in any other sports?
I don't think I was any good at any other sports, to be honest, mate. I'm just
Yeah,
half decent at this one, but just grab the ball and just run at people. Basically, that's all I'm good for. I used to play football for school.
mm,
And the school teacher used to call me the battering ram. So I was no good with a ball. I just run at people,
yeah,
and I don't think footballers like that. So yeah, I've had a dabble in all different sports. I'd like to think as a youngster, I tried them all. I was a very sporty person, definitely in school. I didn't really concentrate in anything like maths or
yeah,
science or
yeah,
English. I was always just sport. It was always sport, and I was looking on the timetable to whenever my sports lesson was, or my sports lesson, what day it was, and I could look forward to that day. But yeah, anything else I wasn't really interested in at that age.
yeah. It's definitely fit to say that you were more of a rugby player. So growing up in Hull, where rugby league is a bigger sport compared to other areas in the UK, would you say from a young age that playing rugby league was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I didn't know anything else, to
Mm,
be honest, mate. I didn't know anything else, especially even going into secondary. Was in secondary, and you had to think of when you get to that point, you need to start thinking, well, do I want to go to university? Do I want to get an apprenticeship? Um, and I honestly, if rugby got taken away from me, I wouldn't have. I honestly don't know where I'd have ended up because, yeah, I just kind of put everything on the line for rugby, and it's always been rugby, and especially my family. Um, but yeah, I suppose maybe I should have maybe took a closer eye on something to work on, to fall
mm.
back on in rugby, which I am doing now. But yeah, if there's something that I could really look back on and think I'd have done differently, but maybe put my head on a bit more in school. So um, I starting now looking for something that I want to fall back on, whereas I should have already known what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And growing up in Hull, did you play any junior rugby? And were there any positions that you liked playing in the most?
I did, yeah. I played for Scaler Bulls, the amateur team.
Yeah,
Uh, Mighty Scaler was a good team, some good players on there. Yeah, I'd have played halfback if you'd asked me. But no, when I was younger, coming through, I was playing halfback, played a bit of centre, and
hmm,
then there's a little bit of a saying where once you go in from the side, you never come back out. So you slowly work your way infield on the defensive line. So I started off as centre, moved to halfback, and then I went to loose forward. And
yeah,
then usually you don't ever go back out from a forward. So
yeah.
once you're in a forward position, you're stuck in there. So yeah, I think that was just my. As soon as I got put in there, I won't come back out of the forwards.
Yeah, definitely. And being a young player, what would you say your biggest struggle was when trying to make it in the world of rugby league?
Oh, biggest struggle was maybe I could probably say my attitude when I was younger. If something didn't go my way, I'd be I'd sulk a bit and carry
Mm,
on. My coaches from Scaler would be the first to say that, and they'd have a little laugh.
yeah,
And if they was listening now, or if I spoke to them, they'd 100% say it was just going in the sulk and going and moving. Things didn't go my way. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So obviously you signed your first professional contract with the Hull Kingston Rovers, who were at the time playing a mixture of Super League and Championship rugby. Would you say there's a noticeable skill gap between Super League and the Championship?
No, no. I did a full season at Leigh last year as well in the Championship.
Mm,
The jump from going to Leigh to Hull FC as well. Um, I can't say there's a lot of difference. The only thing is, and I think a lot of people say the same thing, it's a bit slower and a bit more physical.
yeah.
Whereas you're jumping up to Super League, it's a lot more faster, and it's a lot more. The skill is more on point.
Mm.
But that's only fine margins that I can see. I think it might differ as a back or maybe as an half back, but as a forward, your role don't really change whatever division you're in.
Mm. And what would you say could be done in order to support lower half championship clubs financially, as well as to help close the gap between the top half of the championship and the bottom?
Well, that's a tough question. That one. I suppose I wouldn't really give that much of a thought into that. I think the difference between the top end championship and the lower end, there is such a big difference in the.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's a massive difference. I just think they need to get help financially, but it's the owners as well. If you look deeper into it, depends how much money they want to pump into the club and how much they want to get out of it. I know a lot of the owners at the bottom end of the championship, if you're going to put a big amount of sum in there, you need to have that sum, but then that your performances need to start improving. You need to start winning things to get that money back. So it's a fine line down in the championship because, I'm not sure many owners are willing to spend if they're definitely not going to get the money back or double the money. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a business game, and obviously the owners need to get some money out of it somewhere. So maybe the RFL, or I don't know what goes on too much on that side. Maybe they get some funding that way through the RFL or through the Rugby League. But I tend to focus on the rugby side of things and not all this political stuff.
Yeah. So you made your debut with Hull KR back in 2016. Although you signed for the Robins in 2016, were there any bitter feelings towards signing the contract, considering you supported local rivals FC growing up?
No, not at all. I come from the academy system at OKR and the scholarship as well. So, I love my time there, to be honest. It's something I look back on now, and I really enjoyed it, especially going through scholarship and academy. Made some friends for life through that. And to get my debut for OKR, that was massive for me as well, because when you're from Hull, you can you really know what it means to make your debut for our team, Hull KR and LFC. You know what it means, and it's a lot of people's dreams. It's obviously my dream as well. So to have achieved that was it was massive.
Yeah, 100%. So you were with the Rovers from 2016 to 2018, in which you featured in the squad to help Hull KR gain Super League promotion back in 2017. What was it like helping the Robins reach the £1 million game and going on to gain promotion?
Yeah, it was. I was in the squad in the £1 million game where we got actually relegated.
Yeah,
I didn't play, but I was actually watching from the stands, and to be in there, that game was. I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again in my career. Just looking around after that game, especially the drop goal as well.
Yeah,
that was such a massive blow for the club. Boys in the change rooms crying. Webbo's devastated. The full staff devastated. I think a lot of them just feel like they failed, and especially because of the fans. I mean, I know the fans are very passionate, and it was tough to see the fans to go through that. So to go from that real low, probably the lowest point of the club, to then the next year get on that massive high again, I think, especially for the squad, it just feels like we was giving back something to the fans that they deserved it. So that's the best feeling, just to know that how much it meant to the fans.
Yeah, 100%. So you went on loan multiple times whilst at Hull Kingston Rovers to other clubs such as Newcastle and Coventry. With Newcastle being an often overlooked route when it comes to expansion of Rugby League, would you say that Newcastle Thunder have what it takes to sustain playing top-tier Rugby League and help expand the game to new audiences?
Oh yeah. When I was there, the facilities are spot on as well. Definitely. I know they're in they have the same stadium as the Rugby Union, I think. I'm not sure what Rugby Union team it is, but the facilities are spot on, absolute spot on. And I think the chairman and the owners really pushing for it, aren't they now? They really want to get into the Super League. But rugby down there as well in Newcastle, it's not a bad night out either. So I won't be grumbling at that once if they get in Super League. But it's a good club. And hopefully when they get more success, just get a bigger fan base and more people look out for them.
Yeah, definitely. So, on the topic of expansion, many fans have recently been calling for a 14-team Super League. And last episode, I asked Matty Ashton the same question. Do you think this idea could be successfully implemented into Super League?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think you've got 3 or 4 championship teams that are Super League standard at the minute, and especially with the facilities, and they are pushing on for it. So yeah, I don't see why that won't be substantial. It won't be a good idea. I think if you get 3 more teams in this league, it mixes it up, and it gives it a bit more stability.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know we're looking for one more team, aren't we? And we aren't sure what that's going to be. But yeah, there's definitely 3 or 4 teams that are chomping at the bit to try and get in that. But yeah, I think if you look at Leigh, if you look at Toulouse, who else am I missing?
A lot of Featherstone fans think they should be in the Super League.
Featherstone reckon they're in a shout, don't they?
Yeah.
There's one more. What am I thinking of? I'm sure there's another full-time team there. Or is it just Leigh and...
I can't be too sure. Obviously, Widnes are not full-time anymore.
Yeah, they've dropped down, haven't they? But yeah, but I think Leigh, Toulouse, I think Bradford as well. That was the one.
Yeah.
I think Bradford are in for a good shout as well as Featherstone. So if you look at them 4 clubs, pretty strong clubs, and the squad's pretty strong as well. I think if you look at the Leigh team and the Toulouse team, that they're looking very, very strong for next season. So I think they should be well in with a shout.
Yeah, definitely. As well as all the new signings that Leigh have made. If they don't get into Super League next season, they'll definitely be having a shot at winning the championship next year.
I think that'll be the goal. Yeah, definitely. If they're not going to get in through the decision of the board that is making now, I think I'll be back in Leigh next year.
Definitely. Me too. So the news that Toronto will not be returning to Super League in 2021, do you believe that there is a more simplified route to expand the game? And if so, where does that leave Toronto?
I went out to Toronto last year, and I think the setup's awesome. I think they get something like 11,000 fans. It's packed out to the rafters.
Yeah.
And just the full day of it, they make a full day of it, and the fans absolutely love it. There's big beer tents after it. You go after there, you have a few beers with the fans and celebrate and have a speak to the fans. And honestly, it's such a shame to see them go. Because I really felt that they was building something there, and especially I felt like it was going to be good to adapt the game there. But for whatever reason, the funds aren't there. It's definitely a massive loss. And in my experience, it's one of the best experiences I've done is going out there to play rugby. So yeah, massive loss.
Yeah, definitely. So you decided to call it quits with KR and join Leigh Centurions. Was there any other teams that interested you, and why did you choose to join Leigh?
I think if you look at Leigh as a club, the facilities and where they've been, they're a club that don't want to be in the Championship. They're a Super League facilitated club. They've got the facilities there ready to go up in Super League. The pitch is probably the best pitch I've played on, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to be at a club that was striving to get into Super League and go for that push. Yeah, and I'm glad I did, because it's probably the best choice I've made, and one of the best years I've had. I learnt a lot moving down there on my own. I learnt a lot, and I had to grow up quickly, but all in all, rugby side of it and off the field, made some friends for life there, and yeah, I look back on that year and absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I do think it was a good decision. So your time with Leigh Centurions was really a season where you began to play much more frequently, featuring in around 20 games and scoring 5 tries. With your 2019 season proving to be a standout year for yourself, do you think that if you'd be given such a chance earlier on in your career, you'd have been able to put out the same standard of performances?
I think you'd always back yourself, wouldn't you? Definitely. That's partly the reason why I had to leave OKR. I needed the opportunity. I wasn't getting it there. And I knew I need to go out and get some game time under my belt and show people what I can do. And I knew if I stayed there for the next season, okay, I wasn't looking like I was going to get that. So it was kind of, that scene was kind of proving myself and showing everyone what I can do.
Yeah. So the 2019 championship season was a great year for yourself, like you said. You were also nominated for Championship Young Player of the Year award. What did it feel like finding out that you'd been noticed after years of grinding?
I wasn't really saying that. I don't think that was my target at the start of the season. If you'd have asked me my target, okay. I think that was just an added bonus to a good season for me. I don't think anything of it. It wasn't something I was thinking about. I was just concentrating on playing well. I think at that point, when I found out, I was preparing for the quarters.
Yeah.
To get promoted. It was a quarter final, so my head was totally focused on that. And like I say, it was just an added bonus to get that. The only thing I was thinking about was putting in a good performance.
Yeah.
For the week ahead.
It was after a phenomenal. Never mind. After a fantastic performance.
Phenomenal.
After a fantastic performance, we'll go with that instead. In the championship that year, did you feel that you were ready to take a step up in your career and finally play in Super League week in and week out?
Oh, definitely. It's what I wanted from the start. I kind of felt like I wanted to show everyone what I could do. Maybe prove a few people wrong who maybe didn't think I could do that. But it's just a part of being a young lad, and you've got to go through them stages of maybe dropping down the league to get the more game experience, and then you'll get rewarded if you play well enough. It's just backing yourself. I believe I backed myself, and then to get the chance, especially come back home to Hull, which. It's the team that I supported since I was young. It was, it was massive for me, and it showed that the decision to drop down a league was paid off for me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it seemed as if many rugby fans thought you were ready to take a step up, as well as Hull FC, who came in and offered you a deal at the club. With FC being your boyhood club, it must have been a no-brainer to sign the deal. But were there any other clubs that were interested in signing you?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be in a good spot at the end of last season. I had 3 or 4 Super League clubs interested in me. But once I knew that Hull FC was interested, and Radov gave me a call, I didn't really want to be anywhere else. I think being home was massive for me. I got a bit homesick last year. It was pretty tough. I was moved over to Manchester on my own. It's me and my dog.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a few lonely days, lonely weeks. I got a bit homesick, and getting home was a priority. And to move about. I mean, I was 21 at that age. The priority was to get home. Yeah. Maybe if I was, I would have took other teams into consideration if it was later on in my career, but for this time it was just absolutely, it was perfect. And I just, it was the first club that I really wanted to go to. That was in my eyeline. As soon as they popped up, straight there.
Yeah, well, it's great that you're back home in Hull. This year you've impressed not just Hull FC fans, but the Rugby League fan base as a whole, after putting in hard work, which has resulted in some fantastic performances, including the Black and White's playoff victory against the Warrington Wolves not so long ago. When joining Hull, did you expect to play as many games as you did?
Yeah, I went into that season, into the pre-season, hoping I'd have a good pre-season. I came back fit and ready to go. I wanted to prove that I could play week in, week out. Maybe whether that at the start of the season, maybe I thought I was going to come off the bench. But I fully, that was the target, was to be playing week in, week out. And when I signed my contract, I didn't want to be playing for the reserves. I wanted to be playing week in, week out, because I thought I was good enough to do that. It was just having to prove that, and when I got my chance, making sure I took it. and thankfully I did that, and thankfully I got that chance.
Yeah, definitely. So before the cancellation of Rugby League, you were initially loaned out to Bradford Bulls. Would you say that Bradford's style of play was similar to other Championship clubs, or closer to a Super League style of play?
I don't think there's much difference in Championship play to a Super League play. Everyone has the same moves. Everyone runs the same. Everyone tackles the same. Just I'm coming from. I only played. We was on dual reg with Bradford last year. So I only managed to play one game against Oldham. It was, and when I played that, I totally loved it there. Great set of lads. I really enjoyed that. The setup there is really good as well. John Cator is a good coach, and he's obviously been in Super League, and he won the Challenge Cup final with us.
Yeah.
At Hull. So he's a Super League standard coach, and his theories are exactly the same as any other Super League team. So it was really good to go down there.
Yeah, so being out on dual reg with Bradford and going back down to the Championship, would you say that knocked your confidence after signing a deal with your boyhood club and then months later being out on dual reg with Bradford?
No, because at the start of the season, well, just a week just before the start of the season, I tore my hamstring. So I was out. What was it? I was out. I did a full pre-season and did all the friendly games, and just my luck, I tore my hamstring a week before. We played Leeds at the start, and I was out for 8 weeks. So that was the first game I was back, and I think I needed that game to get up to speed and to show that I could play. I was still fit after 8 weeks. Need to get some match fitness in me, but then unfortunately it went again. It wasn't right when I went into that game, but I played anyway. And then the week after, I played against Wakefield for LFC. I was warming up, and I could feel my left hamstring. It didn't feel right. It felt like there was something wrong with it, and I couldn't ever get to like my top speed with my hamstring. I always felt like it was going to go at some point. And somehow it kept. I kept on. It stayed steady for me against Wakefield. Got through that game, and then a week later, we're just doing. I think we're doing team run against Warrington. Yeah. Just to prepare for Warrington, and it went again. Yeah, and that was 2 weeks just before lockdown. So I was pretty lucky in that sense because I'd have missed another 8 to 10 weeks with that, but lockdown came in time for me really, and gave me a good time to recover.
Yeah, I think lockdown saved a lot of people's time off injury and missing games.
Yeah.
So you recently featured in FC's playoff victory against the Warrington Wolves, in which many fans believed that to be your best game. Would you say that this was your standout performance of the season with the Black and Whites?
I feel like I performed a lot better in other games, I'd say.
Yeah.
I just think this one was obviously a more important game, and to turn up in important games, it means a lot more. I look back to a few more games where I think I've played better in. I just think I was just consistent in that game. I wasn't really expecting at the end of that game to get all the accolades that I did, to be honest. I just felt like I played an average game, to be honest, and snuck over for a try, which was, it wasn't really a skillful try. It was just, I think Ben Curry went to go get the ball and it's gone straight through his hands, and luckily enough it's bounced up for me, but it got me off the nudie run. So that's all that counts for me. But I'll take that try. But I was pretty surprised to get all the mentions that I did.
Yeah, definitely. So with Hull's season now officially over after getting knocked out by Wigan not so long ago, what would you say needs to be done in order for Hull to win some silverware next year?
I think we need to stick together and keep building on what we've got, because I think what we're building on now is something really, really good. Like I said at the start, it took us a bit too much. It took us longer than what we wanted for us to gel. But I feel like we all have gelled now, especially after lockdown. I think we went into that Wigan game, I think it was 4 or 5 games unbeaten. And and we was flying, to be honest. So I think we need to build on that, especially we've got this big pre-season coming up. We need to build on what we've got up to, and we've got to strive for more. We've got to want more, and the ultimate goal is what we want is we want to get to the grand final. I think we want to win that. We want to win some silverware.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the overall target, is get some silverware.
Yeah, definitely. So to finish off the podcast, as always, we'll do some quick fire questions. So let's get started. Question 1: Who's the first player to have Who's the first player in the Hull FC squad? To have a pint after a match?
Sneedy.
All right.
Sneedy.
Question 2: Would you rather win a Challenge Cup final or a Super League Grand Final?
Super League Grand Final.
Right. Question 3: Which do you prefer, McDonald's or KFC?
KFC. All the way.
Yeah. Question 4: Who works the hardest in the Hull FC training camp?
Me.
Fair enough. Question 5: If you had to choose one team from the Australian Origin Series, which would it be? Queensland or New South Wales?
I'm a New South Wales man, mate. New South
Right.
Wales.
And finally, question 6: Which player would you most like to have played with from the past or present era?
Oof. That's a tough one.
Mm.
Hull FC or just anyone? I'll keep it Hull FC.
Okay.
I'd like to play with you more. He's our strength conditioner now. Kay Keeman. He was. I remember watching him when I was younger. He was class. So yeah, it'd have been good to play alongside.
Yeah, definitely. So before we finish off the podcast, do you have anything you'd like to say to any of the young listeners who are trying to make it in the world of rugby league?
Just work hard and enjoy it. Don't get too stressed. Just enjoy the ride and make sure you're still working hard.
Yeah, definitely. Wise words. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you back out on the pitch next season, and can't wait to see what Hull can come up with next season. And hopefully, like you said, they can take home any trophy. Once again, thanks for joining us today, and I hope to get you back on the podcast sometime in the future. Cheers, and all the best.
Legend. Thank you, pal.
Cheers.
Here comes the, y'all don't really